Fox Business Alert: the battle for control of the Strait of Hormuz now has Middle Eastern countries scrambling to find yet another workaround to keep oil shipments flowing. According to the Financial Times, now Dubai-based port operator DP World is planning to build a new port and container terminal on the UAE's east coast in Fujairah. You see that right there where it says proposed port? That proposed port would reduce Dubai's dependence on its flagship hub in Jebel Ali and, more importantly, eliminate the need to send ships through the Strait of Hormuz to fill up their oil, which Iran claims it controls. What does this all mean? And is it a realistic opportunity, or would it take too long to build this port? Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive, OceanRiver LLC consultant Captain Jim Staples. Captain Staples is a master mariner with more than 39 years of experience at sea. And Captain, let's remind people, you have decades of firsthand experience traveling through the Persian Gulf. So my first question, will the planned Dubai port be the answer to the Strait of Hormuz problem and Iran's their clashes and their attacks?
Well, I don't think it'll be the answer. I think it'll be something that'll help. It's a port now. It's a smaller port, but they still got quite a range of distance to carry through to get over to the Gulf. So it'll definitely eliminate some of the problems, but not all of the problems. I think they're going to probably always have to use the Straits of Hormuz because it's probably the quickest way to get through and get around.
We had a lot of action and exchange of fire over the weekend and yesterday afternoon. CENTCOM reports that over a 3-night span over the weekend of attacks between the U.S. and Iran, they hit more than 300 targets. Iran has been hitting the neighboring countries, Kuwait, and for the first time, Jordan. What does that tell you as a mariner who's traveled this area, understands this area, and all the personalities behind it?
Well, they just don't care. They say one thing and they do something else. So they've always been like that, the Persians. It's one of the games they play. They're playing a big game with this, and you just can't believe anything that they say. So this is going to continue on until we get the radicals, until the IRGC is completely decimated and Trump is finished doing what he has to do over there. It's like I said, these people are just going to continue to carry on the way they're carrying on, and I'm amazed at how we've taken this amount of time to get this far, but still no resolution from the Iranians. And I think the president's been very patient with these people, and I think he's probably getting to the end of the line, and it's going to be time to take care of the problem and finish them off.
President Trump said today the strait is open and the U.S. starting tomorrow will start escorting ships through. And we also are hearing from him that the blockade against any ships leaving the Iranian ports and Kharg Island, they will not be allowed to move. So some type of showdown feels like it's coming. So when you hear the Iranians say, we will forever be the guardians of the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf, and President Trump saying it's open, would you feel comfortable as a captain with decades of experience transiting through there right now on the president's word?
If I had escorts from naval vessels, absolutely. I've done it many times. We were just recently doing it in the Red Sea, and it worked out really well. It continues to work out well. The United States Navy is the best at what they do. I would like to see him not only have the NATO vessels paying their way, but now to go over there and earn their way, so it's just not the United States Navy that's escorting all these foreign flag ships, that NATO now starts putting some of their ships in the line of fire and starts escorting a lot of these vessels through too, just to lighten the load up on the United States Navy, which has done an excellent job over there. And it's just amazing what they've done. But, they can't get to a negotiation. So there's only one other thing to do, and that's to make sure that the straits are passable, and I think President Trump is determined to do that, and he probably will do that. And I've said it before, this is probably one president that you should never underestimate.
But there are a lot of people right now who say that never before has the Strait of Hormuz been closed, effectively blocked by a single country, that would be Iran, until this war. And now they know that they have the ability to stop traffic. We've been watching and we've been speaking with the people at Kepler, which track all of the movements of these ships. And over the weekend, it really slowed to a trickle. It started to open up once again when the president had signed that 60-day MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding. But now he said last week, that's done. It's over. No more ceasefire. These people are scum. Those are his words. And of course, he's talking about the mullahs, not the Iranian people. He has made that very clear. And we'd like to make that clear, too. My query becomes, you talk about crew members and the danger of going through there. Some of them are turning off their GPS, turning off all their lights, and trying to sneak their way through. Is that something you would ever try?
No, I definitely wouldn't do that. I would only go through with a naval escort. I think that's the only safe way to do it. If you're going to run through there by yourself, you're taking chances. If they still have radar on the beach where they can find out where the ship is and target it, then no, I would definitely only do it with a naval escort. And that's where we haven't been seeing really is the naval escorts with these ships. Mm-hmm. And that's been the problem. They're out there by themselves. They're literally a sitting duck. They don't have any defensive type equipment on board to work against the drones or the missiles. So, without a naval escort, definitely I would not take my ship or risk my crew any type of harm if I didn't have any escorts. So, no, I wouldn't do it
Captain,
just by myself.
The United Kingdom and France were ready to bring in minesweepers and to get mines that the Iranians had planted on the seafloor, on the Persian Gulf floor, and get rid of those. But now it's too dangerous for them to get in there at the moment. So there is at least some help coming, at least if you count the United Kingdom and France. But can you give us a sense of how many mines might be sprinkled on the floor? Are they thickly laid down there?
Well, that's a guess. I couldn't tell you. I'd imagine to tell you how many mines were down there. It's like the Iraq War. The same thing happened up there going up into Kuwait. They had laid a lot of mines, and we had certain areas get swept in a lane, mm-hmm. and that's just where the ships will transit is through that certain lane, and anything outside of that lane could still have mines in it. So they're not going to sweep the whole strait. They'll probably just sweep the lanes. So there could be any amount of mine, depending on what type of mines they put out there. So they have anchored mines, they have floating mines, they have a lot of different mines. So it'd just be a guess for me to tell you how many mines are out there. But at this state in the game, they probably had time to put down quite a few mines out there.
The president is also demanding a 20% reimbursement of the cargo ships who are transiting through, because why should the United States, he says, shoulder all of the cost here? But that leads us to this final question, Captain. Do you foresee the Strait of Hormuz ever being entirely free like it was before, where ships came and went because an international waterway is not and should not be controlled by anyone? And here's Iran saying, we are the guardians and we will be the guardians forever. How do you shake them off that pedestal?
Well, that's a great question, but I do see it being free at some time because commerce has got to move even towards the Iranians. It's only going to get worse for them if ships can't come and go to their ports. They're going to start, needing food and other type of material to keep themselves going. So I think eventually it's going to have to be staying open. And I think that, just having escorts right now is one way to get commerce moving. So, I believe that's the case, and that's what's going to happen.
Captain,
hopefully down the road, yeah.
Your expertise is very much appreciated here. Not many people more than you have transited this as many times in this region. So thank you so much. We'd love to have you back.
Well, thank you, Liz.
Captain Jim Staples.